Hello and welcome to Gift Central and the Hero Spouse. I'm Kendra Ruth, here to answer one of your questions about marriage and midlife crisis. Today we have Paula. Paula has a bomb drop of November 27th, 2020, and a date of marriage of 2005. She has a high energy replayer who still lives at home. She says, my husband has been having an affair for 2 years. He goes to the limerent object every single week and he stays there for 2 days and nights. He doesn't want to move out. And we've discussed this situation before. He's very resistant. He's very adamant, refusing to move out. It's not just a want. He refuses. And I'm not sure, but I think there may be some legal reasons that, Paula, you can't kick him out. Because we've talked about it, and I would like you to use all avenues to get that done. So, let's go on. The situation is affecting my daughter, 13, very much. It's affecting me as well. So I decided that enough is enough because he doesn't want to leave. I see no other way out than a divorce. And Paula, unfortunately, if the law won't support you in kicking him out, and so you don't have that power, then that is unfortunately your option. I hate it. I think it sucks, but that is what you may need to do. I mean, you could take your daughter and leave, but then I think you're losing more in that way. And then where are you going to go? We went to the mediator and we're going to start the process of filing. I can buy him out so I can stay in the house. Good. My question, how do I go from here? Do I go no contact? Do I tell him to remove all of his stuff so there's no reason to come home? Do I cut all ties? I'm standing. Okay, so we want to look at this as, excuse me, and we've talked about this before, Paula, that there could be some damage done of the precedent being set. That he lives at home and he's been allowed to live at home, even if it's the law that has allowed him to do that. And he goes to, he can cake eat. He is allowed to go to an alienator every week and stay there. And he's allowed to then be welcomed back home. Now, by welcomed, I don't mean that you're open arms. You might be grumpy and bitchy to him. You deserve it, you know. But this is set. He feels entitled to do all these. So this is going to be a challenge. Yes. You're also far enough in that I think no contact is warranted. He's been such a major cake eater. Absolutely, you go no contact. You figure out how to co-parent your daughter. And at this point, your daughter might not want contact with him for a while. She has been so betrayed and traumatized by what he has been doing. And that might need to go in some court papers that she needs some time to heal before that. He's going to monster at that too. At the same time, she needs to still be encouraged to, have a relationship with her father. But I would like it if it can be accepted that she might need a break. She needs some no contact possibly for healing as well. If she's not in counseling, get her in, talk to the counselor about these sort of things. But she just needs some space, a breathing room. And when there is co-parenting and contact, figure out a way. She's old enough that you don't have to be monitoring everything. So if it were a 2-year-old, you'd really need to see him for exchanges unless you actually had a neighbor come over or something like that. But you might not, if she goes and visits him, you might not need to be as involved so that you do not have contact with him. And he needs to know why. He needs to know you are not having contact with him because he has been inappropriate. It's a very clear line. You have been and are being an inappropriate spouse if the divorce has been finalized. I'm not your spouse anymore. I didn't want this divorce. I was forced into filing it because you thought you were given the insane idea you could commit adultery and still live under the same roof as me. That was abusive. Notice that I didn't do that soft voice. I try not to leave the empathy away, but I was mad. And I want to be firm and I want to be empowered. You have been abusive to me and name your daughter. Use her name for the last 2 years. Husbands and wives aren't allowed to have someone on the side and leave the house to stay with that person, to have extramarital relationships, and that's what you've been doing. It's not appropriate. And not only that, and why am I standing for this? Why am I standing for marriage? First thing, because marriage means something. Marriage in general. And because you mean something. And because I made a promise to you. And because you're better than this, and you know it. You are better than this. You can make better choices than to ruin your daughter's life, your life, her, the alienator's wife, and our marriage. And I'm not going to be a part of the destruction of it. And because of that, you're not allowed to have any form of a relationship with me while you're in a relationship with her. Got it? That's not open for discussion. Thank you. End of conversation then. Yeah, you cut all ties. And that does mean you could tell him to remove his stuff. And what happens if he doesn't do it? Talk to your lawyer about this. What do? You can either have it written as a contract and say, anything that is left after this date is forfeited, or anything that is left after this date will be, and they put out on the lawn, and you can come and get it, or anyone can, I guess, or is forfeited after this next date. I will, if there's anything that I have chosen not to keep, I will have an estate sale. I will goodwill it, whatever. Talk to your lawyer before you do that sort of thing. And then, and when you do it, say, let him know this is part of in the legal contracts. It needs to be stated not just something you tell him. Because that's how, he might not remove his stuff. But then what do? He's still going through a boundary like he's been doing and using a loophole. And he's been using a loophole possibly in the law to resist leaving the house and to refuse you kicking him out. So it's been disempowering for you. If you tell him to remove his stuff and he doesn't, don't tell him so that there's no reason to come home. Don't do it that way. Do it because you're leaving. It's not get good riddance, but if you're choosing to leave. And if you don't tell him to leave all his stuff and he does, then what? Now, a few things could go on with that. Maybe it just is what it is. Is it annoying to you? Are there things you don't want anymore? I mean, Chuck took the couch. I hated that couch. I was so excited. I didn't have a couch, but I was so excited for that couch to be gone. When he left that alienator the first time, only a few months after, that stupid couch came back to my house. Hated that couch. I didn't want it back. If he left the couch, I didn't want. So there might be something that you're like, oh God, this ugly monstrosity is still in my house, and I'm stuck with it because I can't get rid of it. Because then you'll be accused of whatever if there's not some form of contract. So I want you to get these things in writing. And later on, I didn't tell Chuck every time he left to take the couch, because the first time he left, he was getting an apartment and furnishing it. When he left after that, he didn't get a place. He just went to her house. So I was like, well, whatever. I need a couch. It's ugly, but bleh. But if there's something that you don't want there and he's really leaving, you find a way to get that somehow in a contract of what needs to be done with it. And there are consequences for him not taking it. Okay? Standing is hard. Your dynamics are going to change. Now, the next thing, can you kick him out once you file for divorce? Or can he stay there during the whole process? Is there a way you can do it separation and not divorce? All methods of getting him out of that house need to be reviewed. If there are ways that you can do it without the filing of divorce, and it can be filing of separation. And I know there are some that stayed in the same house until they were forced out by the law because the divorce was finalized. And I don't want you stuck in that situation. That's going to be putting you in a situation where you feel forced to give in on things just to get him out. You're already giving in on filing for divorce. I'm so sorry. But I hope this is helpful. Keep letting us know how it's going. I know that you keep doing that, and keep posting so that you can get help, because this has been a real strain on you, to say the least. Okay, we're thinking about you, Paula. Merry Christmas, and I'll see everybody in the next question.